Today I'm playing pros for $500. The USA National Champion, a 3-time Texas Regional Champion, and an online hidden Catan boss. Whoever can win 3 games first gets $500. Keep watching. Let's take a look at this board. In the first position, we have Hawkeye, the 3-time Texas Regional Champion. Hawkeye decides to go on the 8-3-10. This spot gets Hawkeye 2 strong ore spots along with a good wheat spot, which pairs together for cities. Cities are essential to win the game because they double your production on your initial settlement spots, which are the highest producing and best spots in the game. So instead of simply building a settlement on a low producing spot like the 10 wheat, you get to double your production on your initial settlement, which is one of the best spots in the game. Another benefit of a strong ore wheat spot is because of city quality. The city quality of the 8-3-10 is very good because upgrading your ore and wheat gets you more wheat, which leads to more cities. Now it's Groundhog's turn, our hidden online Catan boss. He chooses the 8-4-10. But before we analyze that pick, if you guys like the in-depth strategy on my channel, then you're gonna love the in-depth strategy of Raid Shadow Legends. Not only do I like Raid Shadow Legends' absolutely gorgeous graphics, but the amount of strategy inside this game is insanely high. There are hundreds and hundreds of champions you can collect, and there is a ton of customization. I can't always sit down to get my fix of strategy games, but I can quickly pull out Raid Shadow Legends to play a few battles. Over here, I'm challenging an opponent's team which has a higher team power level, and I'm outnumbered. But through strategic decision making, such as my area of effect moves at the beginning, I'm able to beat the odds and take down a stronger team. So, what's new in Raid? Raid just released the Artifact Forge, where you can save time and craft artifacts daily, as well as a whole new advanced quest system with amazing rewards. They also brought out some amazing new champions, which I'm super excited about. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and if you're a new player, you get 100,000 free silver and 1 free champion. All the treasure will be waiting for you right here. So thank you so much to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. Now back to Groundhog's pick. This seems like a tough choice between the 8-4-10 and the 5-9-10. And the reason why we narrow it down to the 8-4-10 and the 5-9-10 is because of a concept known as settlement outs. But first, let's read out what Groundhog had to say. He said, "Because I figured if I took the 5-9-10, I would get the 3 ore and then I would have no wood and bad ore wheat sheep, OWS. I would rather have the space and go for longest road in this game, instead of a tougher largest army race." So essentially, he thought someone would take the 5-9-10 with the 5-6-11 or 5-6-12, along with another pair of settlements on the 3-6-4 and the 5-9-10. So, what are the spots that are left? The 3-9-11 is left open for sure, and sometimes the 4-5-11 is left open. But that depends if someone goes on the 5-6-11 or the 6-5-12. However, we can be 100% confident that the 9-3-11 will be open. So that means our settlement outs are the 9-3-11 or sometimes the 4-5-11. Remember, the 4-5-11 will only be open if the 5-6-12 is chosen instead of the 5-6-11. Now we can compare which settlement goes better with the 9-3-11. The 8-4-10 pairs much better with the 9-3-11 compared to the 5-9-10. This is exactly what Groundhog saw and what led him to choose the 8-4-10, which is why I think he's a top player. Now let's consider our options for the third position. The 2 principles I follow for third position are, as third, take the rare resource, and as third, predict where fourth position will go, and adjust. So, as third position, what is the rarest resource? I think it's wood and sheep, but we can only get one of the rare resources. If we take the 5-9-10 wood, I think fourth position will take the other 5-9-10 spot, plus a spot that goes well with it, 5-6-11. So that means we are left with the 6-4-3 to pair with the 5-9-10 wood, which is a pretty good setup. However, let's play out the scenario where we go on the other 5-9-10, the brick wheat sheep. Fourth position will take the other 5-9-10 wood and the 6-3-4. So then we will get access to the 5-6-11 or the 5-6-12. So let's compare. Would you rather have the 5-9-10 brick wheat sheep with the 5-6-11? Or would you rather have the 5-9-10 or wood with the 6-3-4? Comment down below what setup you would rather have. This is a crucial decision in the game, so I want you to practice this. To me, the 5-9-10 brick wheat sheep with the 5-6-11 is a lot better, as you have amazing ore wheat sheep and potential for a strong wheat port. You also have the coordinated 5s for sheep and ore, which are used together for development cards. And this is especially useful when you have an excess of wheat. So although the 5-9-10 wood with the 6-4-3 is strong, to me, the 5-9-10 brick wheat sheep with the 5-6-11 is simply better. So you can see 3rd position has the ability to dictate where 4th position goes, which is why generally 3rd position is considered stronger than 4th position. I made a video going more in depth on this concept where we place out settlements as a 3rd position. I place on the 5-9-10 brick wheat sheep. Gray, the USA national champion, places on the 5-9-10 wood and the 6-4-3 like we thought. Then I have a choice of placing on the 5-6-11 or the 5-6-12. If I take the 5-6-12, I can lock down the 6 wheat and taking away settlement spots for my opponents, such as the 6-11-12. And this way, I think I force Hawkeye to take a weak coastal spot, such as the 3-8. However, choosing the 5-6-12 creates another problem. Now, the 4-5-11 is open, and that spot is a very strong spot. It's strong ore, and it's strong wheat, so many people will be wanting that spot. It's also interesting to note that Gray decided to point the road inwards on the 6-3-4, predicting that the 9-3-11 would be open, instead of the 8-4 being open. So, I make a crucial decision. I decide to place on the 5-6-11, which destroys the 4-5-11 spot, but it opens the 6-11-12 spot. I'm pretty sure Hawkeye will go on the 6-11-12, turning the 6 wheat into a triple shared wheat, which won't be blocked. I decide to point my road to the right on the 5-6-11. I could point my road to the left towards the 4-11 expansion spot, but there's a good chance I'm going to be racing the person who goes on the 9-3-11 to the 4-11. And whenever you're racing for a spot, you'll be getting robbed by that person. In this scenario, my bigger priority is to get on the wheat port, instead of a spot like the 4-11. So I opt to point my road to the right, where I can avoid confrontation. It's Groundhog's turn, and he chooses the 9-3-11. I like this pick a lot. Not only do you block off Gray, but you get more essential wheat, and you're on the triple shared 3 ore, which won't be getting blocked very often. And you get brick to pair with your wood. And then you can happily expand onto the 4-11 for more wheat, and potentially connect your settlements. If Groundhog had chosen somewhere else, like the 8-4, he would leave open the 9-3-11 for Gray, and he would be facing some fierce competition for the largest army race. So he makes the wiser choice of going on the 9-3-11 and trying to play a longest road game. Now, it's Blue's turn, Hawkeye. Unfortunately, he's pretty boxed out inside this game. You can choose the 6-11-12 or the 8-3, and both options aren't that good. I think the best option he can choose is the 6-11-12, which is exactly what he does. And he points his road to the right. The 6-11-12 is better than the 8-3 because you have access to the wheat port, and the triple shared wheat won't be getting blocked, and comparing the strengths of setups, the players at this table would be much more likely to help Hawkeye get to the wheat port, instead of letting a monster like me getting on the wheat port. With that said, the game begins. Hawkeye rolls a 4, giving Gray brick and giving Green some wheat. Groundhog rolls a 10, giving me some precious wheat and giving Green and Gray some wood. Groundhog drops a road to the 2-9 as he has the left side of the map to himself. A 5 is rolled, providing me sheep and ore, and I know there are certainly more ores out there inside the game. So I know I can potentially score an early city, but I have to be clever and disguise the trade. Because if I'm too obvious and immediately offer 2 cards for a single ore, it's going to be very apparent I'm getting a city. So I suddenly offer the sheep for wood and a sheep for an ore. To my surprise, Gray, the USA national champion, takes the trade, gifting me a city within the first orbit. Even the best players can sometimes make mistakes, and Ian just happened to track incorrectly. I decided to drop the city on the 5-6-11. I need to be upgrading my ore and wheats, as this will be getting more precious ore when I have so much wheat, and more wheat is not that bad, especially if I can get on the wheat port. Also, since I'm on the triple shared 6 wheat, it probably won't be blocked that much. Though, I'm quite sure the 5 ore will be hammered by other players. That just means I need to be buying a lot of development cards to defend myself. Ian rolls a 2, and drops a road towards the 8-4 spot. That 8-4 spot is very strong for him. It's a total of 8 production points. It gets him more ore, and it gets him more brick to pair with that wood. A 3 rolls, giving everyone ore. Hawkeye buys an early development card, but I think that might be a mistake. I think saving for a city is a little bit better here, as your ore wheat sheep competitor is already so ahead in production. 2 5s are rolled, giving me a bunch of ore and sheep. I try trading my ores, but nothing happens. So, I buy a development card and get a year plenty. A 12 rolls, and Hawkeye gets some of that rare sheep. Hawkeye rolls a 9, then passes. Groundhog rolls an 8. Groundhog is offering a brick, asking for ore. Now, we have to ask ourselves, why does Groundhog want this ore? Well, if you were paying attention, since his second settlement was on a 9-3-11, he starts off with a brick, ore, and wheat. Then we also know a 3 was recently rolled, so that means he has at least 2 ores in hand. So if we trade him a 3rd ore it will get him a city. So we have to be very cautious. So even though he offers 2 cards, a brick and a sheep, I initially say no, because giving a city to a low ore player for only marginal value isn't worth it to me. However, Groundhog is desperate to make a play.
I would give you a wood if you gave me a wheat.
That gives him a city then.
Oh, that gives Ian a city.
He's on a 6 wheat though. He's gonna get it. I'm gonna take it.
Groundhog. Fine, I'll do the 2-for-1 deal that you're asking for if you want your city then, just to avoid giving in a city.
Alright.
I would much rather green get the city. The reason for this is because gray has an amazing expansion spot under the 8-4. And them getting a city on the 6-3-4 and them expanding to a spot like the 8-4 puts them in a very, very good position. They're also in high ore wheat, which in general puts them in a good position. So I assess the situation, and I think Groundhog is in a weaker position, and I would much rather him get a city. So I rush to intercept this trade to prevent Gray from getting a city, and instead I offer a trade to Groundhog so he doesn't trade with Gray. This way, I get the small amount of value from the 2-for-1 with Groundhog, and I can prevent Gray from getting a city. If I can deny a city from an opponent with a strong position and profit, I was going to do that for sure. On my turn, a 9 rolls. I was hoping for a 10, 11, or a 6, because if that happened, I could use a Year of Plenty to get myself onto the wheat port. Or I could simply buy development cards. Anyways, I needed any of my wheat rolls to hit in order to make my hand unstuck, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. I tried throwing out a few trades, searching for the settlement on the 10 wheat, as I know people will try to feed Hawkeye to get on the 10 wheat port before I do. And that wheat port is very strong for my game, especially since I have a city on the 5, 6, 11 and I'm producing so much wheat. In addition, since I'm going to be buying a lot of development cards, there's a greater chance I'm going to be getting the Monopoly. And this board is very good for Monopoly. So, I'm desperate for a trade as I don't want to risk myself getting 7'd out. Unfortunately, no trades go through and I'm forced to hold. On Gray's turn, the USA National Champion rolls a 6 and gets a wheat. And that was a perfect roll he needed in order to get a strong city. And he upgrades the settlement to a city on the 5, 9, 10. Then he drops a road towards the 8-4. This is a powerful turn for Ian, as the 8-4 is very strong. Also, I think upgrading the 6-4-3 might have been a little bit better than upgrading the 5, 9, 10. Since the 3 ore is triple shared and it's a low producing spot, the 3 ore won't be getting blocked very often. And the same principle applies to the 6 wheat. Since it's triple shared, it shouldn't be getting blocked very often either. And lastly, you double your brick production, which matches a lot better with your wood production. And lastly, you upgrade the wheat, which is essential since you're going to be building on more ore. If you upgrade the 5, 9, 10, then drop a settlement on the 8-4, you're going to have a little bit too much ore and too little wheat. But upgrading the 6-4-3 balances your resource income a little bit better. However, I don't know what's in Gray's hand, and he's the national champion himself. So, I won't question that decision too much. Regardless, this is a very strong turn for him. It's my turn, and I roll a 5. I have 15 cards in hand, and I also have a Year of Plenty, which gets me any 2 cards from the bank. So I ask you, what's the play? I can get another city and 2 development cards if I Year of Plenty for wheats. Or I could Year of Plenty for wheats and buy 4 development cards. Or I could Year of Plenty for woods and build a settlement on the wheat port. Or I can even Year of Plenty for 2 woods and cut Gray off to the 9-12. Also, do I even have to use the Year of Plenty this turn? There's certainly a lot of options, and I want you to pause the video right now and comment below what you would do. It's important you actually do this because I promise you, it can easily apply in your real games. So, a Year of Plenty for 2 woods, because I want to use the Year of Plenty for rare resources. I produce a ton of wheat already, and getting on the wheat port will make my game drastically stronger. Also, I know that other people are incentivized to give Hawkeye the wheat port over me, so that wheat port won't be there forever. Also, if I lose the wheat port for Hawkeye, I'm not going to be able to have a useful port inside this game. The wood port is pretty useless, and Gray will probably beat me to the 9-12, making me go through the rest of this game without a port. Lastly, you want to be using the Year of Plenty to complete difficult objectives. In this scenario, since I don't produce any woods for settlements, building a settlement is my difficult objective. And lastly, I can drop a road in a settlement onto the wheat port and still buy 2 development cards with this line of play. So, I buy 2 development cards and I get a victory point and a Monopoly. Nice. This is an amazing board for Monopoly. Gray rolls a 6, giving everyone wheat.
Hey, Hawkeye.
Yep. 2 wheat, 2 ore.
I think that would give us both a city if I'm correct.
It would not give me a city. Probably not then.
You do 2 ore for a wheat and something else?
Give you a brick, I guess.
All right.
They end up completing a trade, and Ian drops a city on the 6-4-3, then drops a road onto the 9-12. Another powerful turn. Hawkeye rolls a 6 himself and drops a city on the 8-3-10, and then passes. It's Groundhog's turn, and he rolls the first 7 of the game. And he puts the rubber on the 6 wheat and takes from me. I roll an 11. Now, it's my turn, and I have a Monopoly in hand. It's especially important to be patient on a strong Monopoly board like this, and to track with precision. When thinking about playing a Monopoly, you have to think in terms of, if I play this Monopoly, how will it improve my hand? If it doesn't improve your hand by a significant margin, then you don't play it. But with that said, let's actually practice tracking. You hear me in a lot of my videos talking about how important it is to track every single card. So I'm going to rewind to Ian's turn so we can solve how many wheats are out there on the board together. So let's go ahead and put together this puzzle and use the context clues we were given to go ahead and figure out how much wheat everyone has. First, I know Ian was searching for wheat on his turn. After he did that 2-for-2 trade, getting a wheat and a brick for 2 ores, he was able to drop a second city. So after he did that 2-for-2 trade, it tells us that once he dropped the city, he ended his turn at 0 wheats. However, we know the 6 rolled on Hawkeye's turn, so he actually has 2 wheat in hand now. Then, I know Hawkeye has at least 1 wheat in hand. Because Ian offered a 2-for-2 trade, 2 ore for 2 wheat, and Hawkeye said,
It would not give me a city.
but he did another 2-for-2 trade, a brick and a wheat for 2 ores, which did give Hawkeye the city. And on his turn, he rolled another 6. So after building a city, this leaves Hawkeye with 1 wheat. I know Groundhog has at least 3 wheats because I stole 1 wheat and an 11 rolled, giving him 2 wheats. So to summarize, I know Groundhog has 3 wheats because an 11 rolled and he stole 1 from me. I know Hawkeye has at least 1 wheat because he traded for a perfect city, then a 6 rolled, giving him 1 extra wheat. And I know Ian has 2 extra wheat since he traded for a perfect city, then a 6 rolled, giving him 2 extra wheats. So if I played a Monopoly right now, I can at least get a minimum of 6 wheats. Now, is that good enough to Monopoly? I only improved my hand from 1 development card to 2 development cards. This is not enough improvement in my hand, and I need to be more patient, especially since this is a high ore board and a high wheat board. More opportunities will come along. So, I buy a development card and pass my turn. It's a victory point, which isn't exactly what I'm searching for, since I'm searching for knights to take largest army and to defend my key tiles. Gray rolls a 3, giving everyone ore. Then, it's Hawkeye's turn. He plays a knight onto the 5 ore, then robs from me. Then, he rolls a 6. Giving everyone wheat. With that, Hawkeye buys a development card and ends his turn. On Groundhog's turn, he rolls an 11. Groundhog does a 4-to-1 trade, wheat for ore, and buys a city. Not only does this get him a city, he's also playing around my Monopoly since I have 2 unplayed dev cards. On my turn, I roll a 5. I port my wheat for an ore and buy a development card. Giving my opponents a wheat helps them out way more, and I'd rather just use my 2-to-1 port. So, I buy a development card and it's a knight. It's Gray's turn, and he rolls a 5. Unfortunately, our 5 is blocked. Gray's offering ore for wheat, and while we could take that trade, it helps Gray a lot more than it helps us. And we also have the 2-to-1 wheat port. So, I reject his trade, and he's forced to buy a development card. Hawkeye rolls a 7, and puts the robber on my 5 sheep, and takes my wheat. Groundhog rolls a 6, giving everyone wheats, and passes his turn. It's my turn now. I don't play my knight before I roll. Typically, you want to be playing your knight cards before you roll. This way you can unblock your own hexes and block an opponent's hex. However, you can only play 1 development card per turn. If a good roll happens for a Monopoly, like the 6 wheat, then I may be wanting to play a Monopoly on this turn. However, if I already played my knight card, then I can't play my Monopoly. In addition, I already have a single sheep in hand, so I don't mind taking the risk of not getting a single sheep. So, I roll an 8, getting Hawkeye wheats, and getting Groundhog sheeps. So now it's another tough turn. Should I play a Monopoly? If I do, should I play it on wheat? What about ore? Are you, the viewer, tracking? I want you to pause the video and comment down below what you would do at this moment. And please actually do that, since it's great practice for your game, and it also helps me with the YouTube algorithm. First, let's go ahead and track our opponent's cards with a different method. Previously, I was teaching you how to track with logic and trades. Now, let's go ahead and look at a different method of tracking. Let's take a look at the number of question marks on the right side. It gives us a general idea of how much of every resource is out there. In total, there are 19 resources inside of a single resource deck. So, if there are 3 question marks, there's 19 to 14 specific resources inside the bank. If there's 2 question marks, that means there's around 13 to 8 of that specific resource in the bank. And finally, if it's 1 question mark, that means there's around 7 to 1 of that specific resource inside the bank. And finally, if there's a single 0, well, there's no more resources inside the bank. That means no one can get that resource. The reason why colonist.io gives these question mark indicators is because in real life, you can tell how many resources are in play simply by looking at the bank. The lower the stack of the resource pile inside the bank, the more of that resource is in play. So in a real game, if I see a full stack, I can quickly deduce that there's probably not much of that resource out on the board. Some of the strongest tournament players I know are scarily accurate when predicting the number of resources that are in play simply by looking at how big/small the resource pile is inside the bank. So now with that knowledge, since there's only 1 question mark on the wheat, we know that there's around 1 through 7 wheat in the bank. We can also assume the number of wheat inside the bank is probably closer on the upper end of 7, because the wheat resource pile recently turned from 2 question marks to 1 question mark. So we'll assume that 1 question mark is around 7 wheats. So that means if we do 19 minus 7, which is the number of specific resources in total, minus the number of resources inside the bank. And this gives us 12. And 12 is the number of resources that are in play. So, if I played a Monopoly, I'd be getting 12 wheat. But wait, we're forgetting to subtract another 4 wheat from the 12 wheat in play, because we own 4 of that wheat. So now if we Monopoly, we actually get around 8 wheat. While Monopolying 8 wheat isn't bad, it only improves our hand from 1 development card to 2 development cards. Or it improves our hand from 1 development card to a single city. Now, let's go ahead and calculate the ore. We can assume that there are 5 ore in play. There's 2 from gray, 3 from blue, and 0 from green. And we know that 3 question marks is around 19 to 14 ore inside the deck. So if I Monopoly ore, I would get a for sure 5 ore. So how much does 5 ore improve my hand? Well, it improves my hand from a single development card to a city and a development card. Although this is typically a decent Monopoly, on a wet board like this, with tons of strong wheat and ore hexes, we can afford to be patient. Also, since my opponents now all have cities, it increases the chance I get more value from my Monopoly. Also, in this game, I didn't try to do the dirty Monopoly trick. The dirty Monopoly trick is when you try trading away your own resources, then Monopolying back. However, this is a very, very known strategy at the top of competitive play. In fact, if a good player even catches a whiff of you trying to do that, they're going to call you out and say this person has a Monopoly and they're trying to do the dirty Monopoly trick. Revealing your Monopoly to the entire table, letting your opponents play around the card, and generating less value for you. It's simply just too obvious, especially when playing with some of the best players inside the world. And lastly, I need to be playing my knight card. The reason for this is because Hawkeye already has 1 knight in play. And if he plays a second knight on his turn, he will have 2 knights while I have 0 knights played. This puts him very far ahead in the largest army race. If I play a Monopoly this turn, that means I can't play a knight. Keep in mind, since I'm currently ahead, the other players at this table are highly incentivized to feed Hawkeye the largest army, to make sure that I don't get it. So, I play my knight and move it onto the 8 ore and steal from Hawkeye. I specifically target Hawkeye because we're racing for largest army, and because I track precisely, I know that he has wheats and ores in hand, which are both useful for buying development cards. So, I know that was a long turn with a lot of explanation, but there's truly so much inside the game of Catan that people just don't see. It's Gray's turn, and he rolls a 7 and puts it on the 9 brick, and steals from me. He gets a wheat. Gray is at 8 cards, and he's desperate to make a trade. He trades an ore and a wheat for sheep. Then, he 4-for-1s his wheat for a wood, and builds a strong settlement onto the 8-4. It's Hawkeye's turn, and he rolls a 4. He tries trading for sheep to buy a development card, but no one budges. And 9 rolls. Groundhog tries trading for wood, but no one budges either. So, he buys a development card, and passes. It's my turn, and the robber is currently on my hex. So, I play the knight before I roll, and put it onto the 8 ore, and take from Gray. I still want to make sure to block Hawkeye, since I do need to win the race for largest army. I roll a 7, and move the robber onto the 4 brick, and steal from Gray again. Now, I have a road in hand, and I have a decision to play it or save it. The reason to save the road is anticipation of getting one of the 2 road buildings inside the development card deck. But I also know that I need to play the road right now since I will be getting robbed. And I don't want my precious wood or brick getting stolen. Also, I will only be needing one more knight to take the largest army. After that, I probably won't be buying any more development cards. The probability of getting a knight inside the deck is a lot higher than getting a road bidding. Since starting out, there are 14 knights inside the development card deck, and there are 2 road biddings. So, I drop a road and end my turn. So Gray plays a knight and puts it onto the 9 brick and robs for me. He tries offering 2 cards for the sheep, but is unsuccessful. Right now, the sheep is really rare. So, he passes. It's Hawkeye's turn, and he rolls a 4, putting more brick and wheat on the board. It's Groundhog's turn, and he rolls a 6, giving everyone wheat and passes. I roll a 5. Once again, the bank is at 1 question mark. Is it a good time to Monopoly? Because the bank was already at 1 question mark when the 6 rolled, I know there has to be less than 7 wheats. And since whenever a 6 is rolled, the bank gives away 5 wheat, I can do the math of 7 minus 5. This is the number of wheat inside the bank, then subtracting the number of wheat owed to figure out the general amount of wheat inside the bank. So 7 minus 5 equals 2. So that means there's only around 1 to 2 wheat inside the bank. What that means for me, that there are around 17 to 18 wheats that are in play. Remember, in a real life game, I don't have to be doing this math, but I can simply look down at the resource pile and realize that there's little to no wheat inside the pile and call it a Monopoly. But since this is an online version and they try their best to replicate it through the question marks, we have to do some math. So, I know it's a great time to play Monopoly with so much wheat in play. Anyways, I'll call a Monopoly on wheat, and I get a massive amount of wheat. A total of 18 wheat. Wow, there's only 1 wheat left inside the deck. My patience and tracking had paid off. With an absolutely massive hand of 21 cards, I buy a development card and get a knight. Then, I port my wheat for a settlement. Then I drop it onto the 5 sheep. Then, I port the rest of my wheat and drop a city on the 5, 9, 10. And then, I pass my turn. On Gray's turn, he takes longest road. It's Hawkeye's turn, and he rolls a 10. On Groundhog's turn, he rolls a 4. And finally, it's my turn. But first, I spend countless hours making these videos, and I'm risking $500 in order to get the best quality footage for you, the Catan community. And the best way to support me is by liking the video for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe, since I only post high quality content. In fact, I've scrapped multiple videos, which is why it takes me so long to post. I truly only want to deliver the best, and if it's not the best, I won't post it. Anyways, it's my turn, and I play a knight to take the largest army, and I win the game. But don't go yet. Here are 3 essential Catan tips to help you crush your game. The first essential Catan tip is when you have a Monopoly. If you can't track cards, look at the bank resource pile. If it's low, that means there's a lot of that resource in play, and that means it's a pretty good time to play a Monopoly. If it's online, then use the same question mark technique I taught you right here in order to track well. The second essential Catan tip is to be patient with the Monopoly on a wet board. When I say wet board, I mean that there's a lot of opportunity for strong Monopoly value. The more opportunities there are, the longer you can afford to wait for a prime time to strike. And the last essential Catan tip is to think about Monopolies in terms of how it improves your hand. Don't think about the Monopoly in terms of how many resources you can get. You can Monopoly 10 sheep, but if you're just going to be 4-for-1ing that sheep twice, then it's actually not that useful of a Monopoly. So we want to be thinking in terms of how does this Monopoly improve my hand? If it improves my hand by a lot, then go ahead and play it. Anyways, this makes the score 1-1-1-0. If you want to learn the secret to third position, then check out this video. And if you want to see the first game we played for $500, then click on this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm DyLighted, and I hope you learned something.